In today's video, I show you the Kickstarter Burgh that's going on right now. But before we get into today's video, just want to share with you what the GGGGs are for this month. Each month, Bob the Beholder picks some of my Patreon supporters to receive gratitude gifts. And for this month of December of 2023, we have this printed and painted terrain from the Battlefield Kickstarter. We have 2 pledges for the Battlefield Builder Kickstarter. We have 3 people that will receive these wound tracker STLs that one of my Patreon supporters made. And finally, we have 2 all-in pledges for the Burgh Kickstarter. So go ahead and use the link below to go to my Patreon page to find out more information on how you can get in on that. I've done a number of review videos for Matthew and for DecoQuest. He produces really detailed STL files for terrain, and that's been really fantastic. And this set I really like a lot. It might be one of my favorite sets out of all the ones that he's created so far, and that is these fantasy terrain buildings. I do have a painting tutorial at the end of the video that's relatively quick, as well as we're going to be walking through the Kickstarter page so that you can see what the campaign is like. That campaign is going to be ending in a little bit less than a week by the time I post this video, so make sure you use the link to go to that page if you're interested in jumping on board. It's only $20 US in order to get the core set, more if you want the all-in with the stretch goals. But let's go ahead and take a look at this piece. I really like how it turned out, and the colors that I used I think makes it just stand out really well, and all of the rest that's in this set looks super good too, and all of it thematically matches together. I like all the little details that he puts on here, especially these bands, these iron bands and rivets that are on top of the shingles. It does take a little bit longer to paint because of those details, but I think it's worth the effort because it looks so cool. I chose to paint my roofs with this red. In some of my other buildings I've chosen blue, but in this case I think the red just looks fantastic, and I like the combination of stone down here at the bottom along with the timber tops with the plaster inlays in the walls. So just super cool looking. And I love the design of this guard post with this little bridge that's going across, connecting these 2 pieces together. This does come apart so that you can play inside, and with your 28mm figures, this works out perfectly. I didn't realize that I didn't have the doors. I'm going to message him after making this video. I will print out those doors and add them in as they are working doors. They do open. You just use a piece of filament in order to create a hinge for that. But again, this is just one of the samples that you're going to get out of the core set. So let's go ahead and go over to the computer where I can show you what is in the Kickstarter. Here's the Kickstarter page. There are 8 days left to go, but again, by the time I post, that will be about 6 days. 6,000 raised so far, and you can watch the video, but let's take a look at the pledge levels. You can pay what you want for just the guest house. But the core set here is only $20, and you're getting a good number of models. And then the all-in is going to be about $41 US. So let's take a look at these buildings. And as I've mentioned before in some of my previous videos, he has a ton of detail in his STL files. And in fact, in some of the prints that I've made, I had to simplify the model just to reduce the amount of print time because there's so much detail in these models. So it looks like here are the buildings. That seems more than 3, so I'm not quite sure what the core set is. Maybe those are stretch goals, I'm not sure, but we'll take a look at it. So this is the guard post, so you can compare it to the rest of some of these other buildings. I'm not 100% sure if this is to scale. If it is, this thing is huge. Yeah, and the plug system, which I showed previously, is super strong, so I like that system. So here's the pay what you want. So you can grab the guest house, and again, a lot of his models are pretty large, so you can just see it with this either 28 or 32mm miniature that shows you the scale of it. So this is going to take up quite a bit of your game table space, and then with playable interiors as well. So here is the core set, and it does look like you do get that house and then you get the core set. That includes the guard tower here. And then you have, it looks like 3 levels for that. Here's the guard post, which was what I printed out. And I do like some of these details, like these boards up on the roof. Just so much that's going on there that I really think looks cool. Here's a monastery with a little courtyard here and balconies. I really like those features when I am wargaming, because then you can place your figures on these different levels or these different spaces, and just creates variety. Especially when you're playing a game where you can gain a height advantage. This is the noble house, pretty tall here. And see how this is offset, and then you have these supports down here at the bottom. That's the kind of variety I'm talking about. Very simply, he could have put it right over this section, but by just making it offset just a little bit, it just gives a more dynamic structure than you might normally have. So I just love how he provides a lot of variety in all of his models. And I do think that this slot system that he has on these models is better from some of his previous ones. It just fits a lot tighter. And then it sounds like that all of this indoor furniture is being provided too as part of the campaign. I do print everything in 0.2 millimeter height on my FDM printers, and I found that to be plenty detailed enough. So here are his print tests. I'm not entirely sure. It looks like he's printing at a more detailed level, maybe a 0.1 or 0.15 from mine, because this looks really detailed to me. Not seeing print lines really. And it just shows you all of the buildings here on the board. I like how the miniatures can also actually stand on the stairs. So just a lot of cool shots of all of these different buildings. Here's his painted example that he made. Looks like he used primarily washes there. And then here are the stretch goals. I wish there were pictures of these. You have a slum shack that's been unlocked, a small cottage, and a stable. And then you have these others as options, as potential unlocks. Oh, here are pictures. Okay, here's the slum shack. And I like that he provides something a little bit smaller than his larger models. And it's really cool. You can lift up these drapes. And here are some add-ons from previous campaigns that he's made. And I have review videos for most of these. So check out my playlist if you want to see my review videos for any of these other previous campaigns. It says that you need a 200 by 200 millimeter plate, which is typically most printers. And he says that he also did 0.2 millimeter layer height, so same as myself. And that's it. So there you go. Hopefully this video is helpful for you. Relatively short video. Again, use the link below to go to my Patreon page where you can find out how you can get a chance to be chosen by Bob to win one of the all-in pledges. Stick around if you want to see the painting tutorial. Otherwise, happy printing, happy gaming. We'll see you next time. All right. I use my favorite dark brown, which is the Krylon Camouflage Ultra Flat. This is the camouflage brown. And we're gonna just spray paint everything with this dark brown. And I know some of the stuff is stone, and yes, you can spray paint those with a gray. Sometimes I use Slate's gray from Rust-Oleum 2x Ultra Cover. But as you'll be able to see, you don't have to use the gray. You can end up using this dark brown and get a relatively good color off of this.